I'm Claire and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be my November perfume tray. I'm going to pick 10 fragrances from my collection to concentrate on during November, and I'm also going to review my most worn fragrances from my October perfume tray. If you haven't seen one of these videos from me before, really the idea of them is that I want to use everything in my collection over the space of a year. I don't want fragrances that just sit in my collection unloved. I want to really enjoy my collection to the max, and having a fragrance tray helps me to achieve that. I make content all about perfume history, perfume science, and I also just do some reviews as well as some fun perfume tags. So if you are interested and you haven't already done so, then please do consider subscribing. And please also press the like button if you do enjoy this kind of content. That really helps me as a creator to know the types of content you want me to produce. So let's get on with this. What was I wearing the most in October, and what was I doing during October? So October was really busy. I actually went to Paris for a week to go to a conference. It was actually held on the outskirts of Paris, not in the centre. And I just had a great time. I gave a talk on my research, and also I ended up going to Versailles one afternoon because there was an organised trip there. And I loved Versailles. I'd never been before. It's really impressive if you haven't been. My most worn fragrances during October were really cosy ones, easy reach fragrances, and probably my most worn, it's a toss-up between two really. So the first one that I ended up wearing quite a bit was Nirvana Amethyst by Listen James. So this is really a honeyed, sweet tobacco flower fragrance, I guess is how I describe it. It's a vanillic tobacco flower fragrance. But yeah, just a really easygoing fragrance. So that's Nirvana Amethyst. The other fragrance I ended up wearing quite a bit during October is this one from Jardin. This is Tiger by Her Side. So this is a resinous, powdery amber fragrance, but it's also got this lovely, warm, sweet cinnamon to it as well. Just really cosy, perfect for autumn and winter. And I've just rediscovered this one. I was gifted this about 2 years ago, and I've hardly worn it really since I was gifted it. And I'm just really pleased to have rediscovered it again. So yeah, Tiger by Her Side by Jardin. So for November, I'm really looking for a variety of fragrances. I want some fragrances to reflect that it's bonfire night in the UK. I want something, sweet, but also maybe fiery. I want some spicy fragrances, but I also want some warm, comforting fragrances, some perhaps gourmand fragrances, some cozy fragrances to wear during November. So my first fragrance is probably my most bonfire night fragrance in my entire collection, and this one is Chelsea Morning by Lush. So I bought this I think sometime last year, and I became absolutely obsessed with it. And really this is something that I would only choose to wear during the autumn and the winter. It just isn't a spring summer fragrance for me. But this one is a beautiful kind of lemony opening, but then it transforms as it dries down into something that smells very much like a caramelised fragrance. It's like a burnished caramelised fragrance. It's almost like a cork sugar kind of fragrance. It makes me think of maple syrup drizzled on homemade ginger biscuits. Almost like cinder toffee, like the inside of a crunchy bar if you've had one of those. Yeah, just really delicious gourmand fragrance, but totally makes me think of bonfire night. So that's Chelsea Morning by Lush. So the next fragrance is one that I sampled back in my last sampling video, and I just couldn't get enough of this one, and I ended up buying a bottle of it. I just bought a small travel size, but this is Vryao Witchy Woo. So I love the name of this, and I really wanted this on my October perfume tray, but it just came a little bit too late. So it has to go on my November perfume tray. So this one really makes me think, if I were to describe this, I describe it as winter hippie. It's got the patchouli thing going on and the incense. It actually makes me think of a mixture of two other fragrances I've tried. It makes me think of a mixture between Vanilla Nomad and Tiger by Her Side by Jardin. But also it's just a really resinous fragrance overall. And I think if you don't like patchouli, you're going to really struggle with this one. I just really loved it. I fell in love. So this is Witchy Woo by Vryao. So the third one, it's autumn, isn't it? This has definitely got to be on my tray at some point during the autumn. And I've been waiting for it to get a bit colder before I brought this one out. So this one is SJP's Stash. I love this fragrance. I think this gets lauded for lots of reasons, but ultimately it's clearly the price point of this and also just the quality of it. For me, the beauty of this is how creamy the woods are. That's really where this sings. It's something that has an almost coconutty feel to it in the dry down. It makes me think of toasted coconut flakes. That's the kind of smell I get in the dry down. course, it's a woody fragrance overall, but I think that's really the beauty of this one for me. Very long lasting, very strong, but not obnoxious at all. I just really love this one. So that's Stash by SJP. So the next choice is going to be another travel spray. This one's from Mabelle Roma. I was gifted this, I think, earlier this year, and I was so scared of this when I first saw the notes. So this one is a sumac fragrance. Where else have you ever seen sumac listed as a note in a fragrance? So sumac, if you cook with it, is a really kind of earthy smelling, almost fiery feeling spice. And here it gives those impressions as well. It definitely has a little bit of a feeling of almost warm charcoals, glowing charcoal. It's a very sort of comforting, cozy kind of smell, like you're near a fire, but it's not smoky in a dirty way at all. This one's really freshened up by some cardamom and then also some citric feeling resins. I think this really shines in the dry down. It becomes sweeter, the cinnamon really kicks in nicely, and you're just left with this resinous, almost oudiness in the dry down. Just a beautiful fragrance and something so unexpected, so different, something you won't smell elsewhere. So that's Mabelle Roma's Phoenix Flame. So the next fragrance is one that I often wear in a layering combination with the following fragrance. I'm not really someone who layers my fragrances too much, but I was just going out one night and I happened to wear both of these fragrances together because I wanted something to oomph up the first one. And I just thought it smelled really good, and that's really how I wear these fragrances now. So this first one is Elizabeth Arden's Fifth Avenue Royale. So I love this fragrance, but it just is a little bit quiet sometimes. So this fragrance to me is a boozy raspberry fragrance with a leather note. The leather is really the bit that I absolutely love in this fragrance. It's definitely on the softer side. It's not something really strong at all. This fragrance just in general is quite a soft one, but I just love the booziness of it as well. It just is perfect for going out. It just makes me think of going out even, just the notes of this. So the fragrance I tend to layer with Elizabeth Arden's Fifth Avenue Royale is Kayali's Lovefest Burning Cherry 48. I get really good longevity out of this one, and I actually think this is pretty punchy on me. So this fragrance is just a beautiful kind of cherry fragrance. It goes very much in the direction of Lost Cherry for the first few seconds. It's very almondy, but then it kind of takes a bit of a different journey. It goes into sort of a more fruity aspect with some raspberry. There definitely still is some almondiness, sort of amped up by some heliotrope here. And then there's also an almost very gentle sweet spice and also a slight woodiness that's almost smoky but not quite. It's a really kind of easygoing but sweet fragrance, and it just makes me think of fun. It makes me think of going out. Very much complementary to that Elizabeth Arden Fifth Avenue Royale, and I love wearing those two in combination. So that's Lovefest Burning Cherry 48 by Kayali. So the next fragrance is one of my favourites from one of my favourite brands, and this one is Violet Ida by Miller Harris. So I know people have been looking out for this one, and it comes and goes at sale times on the Miller Harris website, but I saw this one recently in TKMaxx, and that's really why I'm putting this on my tray, because I had this moment of debate with myself. Should I get a backup of this? And I didn't, and now I'm thinking I probably should have done. So I've seen it recently in TKMaxx. In fact, I might go back, but it was in a clear bottle now, not an opaque bottle. So if you do see it and you do want it, then definitely grab it, because it does just disappear. So this fragrance is something that makes me think of dropped makeup in handbags. It makes me think of dropped powdery makeup in suede handbags. The distinctive thing here is the carrot seed note, and to some people that can be incredibly off-putting, and other people absolutely adore it, and I love it in this fragrance. I think it just is such a beautiful, sweet, powdery fragrance. It makes me think of almost a grown-up gourmand fragrance in a way, even though it's not overtly gourmand smelling. I think the heliotrope is really important here as well, and it's just a beauty. It's just something that I find addictive, and it's super cozy as well for the winter. So that's Violet Ida by Miller Harris. So this next fragrance I'm going to choose because I quite often wear this one to bed in the wintertime anyway, and so I thought, just because I've finished the fragrance that I was recently wearing to bed, I'm going to choose this one to go on my tray this month for that purpose. So this one is Joop Le Bain. So this fragrance is a fluffy tonka fragrance. So to me, the tonka here, I think there must be heliotrope as well, because it comes off as sort of slightly almondy. It also comes off as slightly cherry-like sometimes. And to me, that's normally heliotrope. So I'm pretty sure there's heliotrope in this fragrance. But this is a nice kind of fluffy, ambery feeling, slightly retro feeling fragrance as well. There's some aldehydes here, and that just really gives it a cleanness. But it's definitely got a lot of texture to it. It's a big, thick fragrance, perfect for bedtime in the winter. So that's Joop Le Bain. So the next fragrance is one that I happened to see in TKMaxx, and I got tempted by a blind buy. I didn't know anything about it, I hadn't watched any reviews. I just looked it up on Fragrantica when I was in the shop, saw the high score and thought, do you know what, I'm going to try it. I'm going to just see how it goes. It wasn't expensive. It was under £20 for a 90ml bottle, so it's really not expensive at all. And this one's by Mauboussin and it's Star. So this fragrance is a woody tonka fragrance. If you like your woody, slightly smoky vanilla fragrances with a little bit of a spicy aspect to it, you might really like this. I think this gets widely compared to things like Baby Cat and other fragrances in those kind of genres. And I can totally see the comparison with another fragrance. So Bois Doré is what I think of with this one rather than Baby Cat. I don't really get anything overtly saffron-like in this fragrance, which is what bothers me with Baby Cat. But I do quite like this one at the moment. I think, you know, when I first smelt it, it felt quite sharp, and actually on trying it a bit more, not that I've worn it a lot, but it's kind of softened a little bit. I don't know whether I'm just sensing different aspects of this fragrance or whether it has actually changed, but it just seems like it's slightly better than it was when I first opened it. So this fragrance is really something that I would compare with Bois Doré, but it's definitely less metallic feeling than Bois Doré, and it's also a little bit softer feeling. It does still last quite a long time on my skin, but I wouldn't say it's an all-day fragrance. I'd say it's maybe 4 or 5 hours for me, and then it starts to fade back a little bit. But yeah, I think if you like Bois Doré, if you like maybe Baby Cat, I'm not quite sure how similar they are. I do have a sample, so I could do a side-by-side comparison video if people were interested. But yeah, just something that I just picked up randomly and I'm putting on my tray for this month to get to know it better. So that's Mauboussin Star. So the final fragrance is one I was gifted a few months back by L'Oreal, and I haven't really worn it since I made a review video of it, and I just want to know how it reacts to colder weather, how it wears in colder weather, and whether I might enjoy it more. I thought this was a perfectly okay fragrance. I thought it, you know, fulfilled its brief, but I didn't personally feel like it was me. So I want to just try it more and see what I think. So this one is Valentino's Donna Born in Roma Ivory, and this is pretty much all over YouTube, wasn't it, for a few months. I think because of just there was a lot of PR, there was a lot of hype around this one, and I couldn't get that marshmallow note at all. So I'm just wondering whether if I, you know, wear it now, am I going to find out something different about this? Am I going to get a different experience? So to me, this is an orange blossom fragrance, but it lacks any of the greener aspects of orange blossom. And it's also quite a fluffy, musky fragrance, but also with a lot of creamy feeling vanilla, a creamy yellow feeling vanilla. It's very sweet, this one, and it does have quite a punch to it. It really does project for the first hour and a half or so on me, but it dries down more quietly and it lasts a long time. So I'm going to try it and see what I think, see how I get on, and see whether it still does make me think of Black Opium Flankers. So that's Valentino Donna Born in Roma Ivory. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then please do press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And also, please let me know which fragrances you were wearing most during October, what you're planning to wear during November, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!